You say you're in the middle and fair on this. You said the left yesterday. I read your tweet.
Yeah.
Despicably cruel, heartless, and abusive, the least kind people on earth.
Yeah.
You did not say that when Donald Trump said the same thing to Mueller and Reiner.
Actually,
I checked.
I have regularly criticised him. I have regularly.
You said take away his phone.
I have regularly criticised him. I have regularly called him out when he does that. I didn't like him doing it with John McCain or Colin Powell.
But you didn't call him despicably
or Rob
cruel.
Reiner. No, I do think it's despicable. So let me be clear.
You do think,
right?
Okay.
Piers Morgan spent this segment lecturing people about decency after a senator's death. Then Mehdi Hasan asked him one question about his own friend, and Piers ended up saying something on camera he clearly didn't plan to say. And a few minutes later, in the same episode, Trump's own former spokesman gets asked to name one good thing his side actually did, and comes up empty.
And very quickly, Mehdi, because we run out of time.
Hold on. Just on the Iran point, I've got to say very quickly.
No, you can't. You can't, because I've got another guest waiting.
Well, I waited half an hour to come on this show, and then you'd save my vocal cord. So let me just say this. The Iranian regime, to say there's been regime change in Iran is gaslighting of the highest order.
I agree.
We've replaced Ayatollah Khamenei with Ayatollah Khamenei, a more radical hardline version, who has much more of an incentive to get nukes.
Mehdi, I agree with you 100%. So let's forget that. I just want to ask you very finally, Mehdi, are you sad that Senator Lindsey Graham has died?
No, I'm not sad. I'm not celebrating it either, as you suggested in your introduction. I think it's a bit of a straw man to say everyone's celebrating his death. I think as journalists, Piers, you and I, we hold power accountable. We speak truth to power. I'm not of the school that says when a politician dies, a public figure dies, we treat them like a private figure and just shut up. I don't think journalism should turn into hagiography. At Zeteo, for example, we published a list of what Graham said and did. We just let the facts speak for themselves. He was a man who said awful things, genocidal things, racist things, and we put that on the record for people to see. That doesn't mean he didn't also do, I'm sure, good things in Congress as well, but overwhelmingly he argued for wars, including this Iran war that outlives him, that killed 100 schoolgirls on day one of the war. He argued for the Iraq war that you and I opposed, that killed over 1 million people. He never met a Middle East country he didn't want to invade, and I think that's how we should remember him. We should remember the full record. The problem is when powerful people die, people in our media, especially mainstream corporate media, want to just do hagiography and say, what a wonderful person they were. Weren't they lovely? And I'm sure many of those powerful people were lovely and they have families who love them. But as journalists, our job is to say, here's what they did. Here's the truth about their life and record. Here's an accurate obituary. And with Lindsey Graham, the man has a ton of blood on his hands and we shouldn't just forget that.
No one's asking anyone to forget the record of politicians, but I do think in the immediate aftermath of public figures dying, unless they're genocidal maniacs like, Hitler or Mao or Stalin, Hogan, there should be a modicum of respect for the death of a human being. And my issue with this, it doesn't just relate to the left.
Tell that to Donald Trump.
Well, I was going to make the point. I mean, Hogan, I presume you would be appalled by the reaction from many on the left to Lindsey Graham's death, as I have been.
There aren't many on the left.
But of course, there are many, actually. I've seen so much of it online.
And it's honestly, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris,
honestly,
every prominent Democrat
it is disgusting. It was after Charlie Kirk got murdered. It is disgusting. However, my question
you didn't call Donald Trump disgusting, Piers. You didn't call Donald Trump disgusting.
If you let me do my
when
job
he said it about Rob Reiner.
If you let me host my own show, I was about
to
ask Hogan Gidley, if given that we should all be able to condemn the reaction of the left to the death of Lindsey Graham and to Charlie Kirk and others on the right, would you also condemn the way that Donald Trump has talked about Robert Mueller, Rob Reiner and others that he doesn't like who die when he trashes them in public quite quickly? Because I never like him doing that. I always think it's wrong, particularly given he's the President of the United States.
Well, do you condemn what they said and lied about Donald Trump as well? Both Rob Reiner and Robert Mueller?
Well, I don't think that's a relevant point. Everyone's entitled to criticise the President of the United States. The point is, should the President use his pulpit to attack Rob Reiner when he's just been murdered? I don't think he should.
Those people have attacked him. He responded in kind. Listen, I was executive director of the South Carolina Republican Party in Lindsey Graham's era. I've known the man for a long time. Was he right on every issue? Did I agree with him on every issue? No. But he loved his country. He loved his constituents in the state of South Carolina. He loved being a United States senator.
So did Robert Mueller.
You can hate his policies. You can not like some of his votes. I got crossways with him a couple of times. Remember, in the first Trump administration, he wasn't on board with Donald Trump's closed border policies by any stretch. On the North Lawn, I said when I was at the state party in South Carolina, he got booed off the stage for supporting George W. Bush's amnesty. We called him Gramnesty for a reason. And his staff called me and said, hey, you know you're off the Christmas card list, right? We laughed about it, and Lindsey Graham finally came on board with the proper policy, which is to protect the American people first. And he cozied up to Donald Trump because he knew that he had enough power and sway within the United States Senate to get things done for the America First movement. He was a patriot. You can disagree with him, Mehdi, all you want to. You can not like the wars. I don't like the wars either. But the fact is, the man was a public servant his entire life.
But I didn't say good. I'm glad he's dead.
You know what?
I didn't say good. I'm glad he's dead.
I think it would be nice. I think it would be nice in public life if every time a big American public servant, someone's given their life to public life in America or the UK, anywhere actually, if both sides just manage to show a modicum of respect Piers, when somebody dies. I don't think it's too much to ask.
But
then
Piers,
then he can get into the legacy stuff.
But
Give
Piers,
it a beat. Give it a day or two.
Piers, the problem is, you say you're on.
That's my view.
Hold on, let me make this point. Last point, then you can cut me off. You say you're in the middle and fair on this. You said the left yesterday. I read your tweet.
Yeah.
Despicably cruel, heartless, and abusive. The least kind people on earth.
Yeah.
You did not say that when Donald Trump said the same thing to Mueller and Reiner.
Actually,
I checked.
I have regularly criticised him.
I checked. You said take away his phone.
I have regularly criticised him. I have regularly called him out when he does that.
You did
I
not
didn't
call
like
him
him doing it
heartless
with
and
John
abusive.
McCain or
But
Colin
you didn't
Powell
call him despicably
or Rob
cruel.
Reiner. No, I do think it's despicable. So let me be clear.
You do think?
Right?
Okay, good.
But there's
I love
nothing.
it when we end
to
on
me,
agreement.
there's nothing
we
more
both agree it
hypocritical.
was despicable.
Nothing more hypocritical than people with the hashtag "Be Kind" in their bio on social media.
Do you think it's despicably cruel for Donald Trump to attack the Kennedy family on the day their granddaughter Tatiana Schlossberg
when
died?
they die?
Watch what actually happened there. Piers wasn't tricked into a gotcha question. He built the standard himself. Hold the president to a higher bar because of the power of the office. And then Mehdi just applied it. The only reason that felt like a trap is that Piers hadn't applied his own rule to his own friend until someone made him.
Hogan, you know, the point I think people would make about this is you could make a lot of cuts to obvious waste. Some of the stuff Doge uncovered clearly was waste and should absolutely have been stopped. I saw that multiple times. But I think they went too far. I think the cuts were too dramatic, implemented too quickly. And these things do have real world consequences. And I guess my point to you about, well, who do you help around the world? I mean, is your position that the United States shouldn't help anybody? And if it isn't, then who should they help? And how much should they be spending on helping people that were being covered by USAID?
Well, first of all, let me ask you, because you just brought up the point. What cuts were okay? Did you find okay?
Well, like I said, there were a number of things, I mean, I can't remember the exact ones now, but I remember when they were being done in real time, a number of things being reported, Elon was saying them himself, where I was nodding away, going, well, that makes sense, and that makes sense. Yeah, that looks like waste.
But what about Ebola?
Right, but there were so there were certain things in there where I thought, hang on, that seems a risk, a big risk. Why would you do that? Other things seemed a little bit inhumane, a little cruel. But ultimately, it comes down to the question I posed to you, which is, what is America's moral responsibility to the rest of the world? Because on one level, President Trump and you were taking a very strong position in the run-up to the last election, which was America first, America first, America first. No more meddling in stupid wars, like you put it, and so on. Focus on getting cost of living down. Focus on American lives. A lot of people voted for President Trump on that basis, right? But
I want to sit on that non-answer because I can't remember as doing a lot of work for someone who was the White House Deputy Press Secretary. If Doge's cuts had real, defensible wins, naming them should be the easiest question in the interview. That was his job. Instead, independent reporting since the cuts, including analysis published in The Lancet, estimates the disruption to USAID funding could contribute to millions of excess deaths globally over the coming years, with early tracking already showing increased mortality tied to interrupted HIV treatment and malnutrition programs. That's not a hypothetical cost attached to a policy debate. It's a specific, researchable body count, and the person defending the policy couldn't name a single cut he'd stand behind under direct, simple questioning. Now bring that back to Piers, because the two moments rhyme more than they first appear to. In both cases, someone built a standard. Piers's hold the president to a higher bar. Hogan's implicit Doge made good cuts. And in both cases, the standard collapsed the moment someone asked a direct follow-up instead of accepting the framing. Piers didn't want to say despicable about his own friend. Hogan didn't have a name ready for a policy he'd been defending all segment. Neither refused outright. That's the tell. They both hedged, both took the long way around, and both eventually landed on either an admission or a shrug because there was nowhere else left to go. If you believe a standard only counts when you apply it to your own side too. Subscribe to The Honest Perspective.